Guess who's now getting the fact that their Babylon is falling? Hello guys, and welcome back to our channel. Now in this video we take a look into a powerful revelation about the fall of Babylon. But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe, turn on your notification bell so that you don't have to miss on any of our interesting videos, and be part of the commenter squad by sharing your thoughts in the comment section down below. Now, in this video, we take a look at a revelation about the fall of Babylon, an ancient system of control that has shaped our world for centuries. In the video, a palm color man boldly exposes how a global network of elites driven by deceit and force has manipulated nations, governments, and economies through organizations like the United Nations, WHO, and WTO. From corporate giants to street-level operatives, their influence has been all-encompassing and their control has been built on the power of the petrodollar. But now, everything is changing. In this video, this palm color man shares why the deep state fought so hard against President Trump and how God is using him as a tool to bring down this corrupt system. So with that said, let's take a look at his interesting video. I will be right back.
Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to talk about, this is the part 2 of the fall of Babylon. And as you all saw in my previous video regarding this subject, Babylon is basically a group of Satanists that control the entire world. They have implanted their representatives throughout all levels of government. They actually sit over those nations. They've controlled nations for hundreds of years through deceit and fraud and force. They included people from the cop on the street all the way up to presidents of nations. Some of these global, if you will, controls have been done through the United Nations, the WEF, the WHO, and the WTO. So we're going to talk about how many of these controls are now falling by the wayside. Now, a lot of people have heard about the deep state and how the deep state controls nations. Well, one of the ways they did that was through the central banks, and everybody was forced to use the petrodollar, the United States Federal Reserve note, which is not money. Money is by definition gold and silver coin. That's the legal definition. And it specifically excludes notes like Federal Reserve notes. So we know that the Federal Reserve note is a fiat currency and is not backed by anything. It's just ink on paper and has no other value than what we give it. And that value has been dropping drastically since 1913 when it was created. But it was set up to where China couldn't buy oil from Argentina without paying for it with the Federal Reserve note or the U.S. dollar. That has gone away. The BRICS nations has interrupted that, and now those nations have actually created a way to pay for goods and services from each other without using the Federal Reserve note. So that's one indication. We got decentralized currency. Even President Trump is talking up the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is a decentralization of currency. It's currency that is not under the control of the central bankers. And many nations now are starting to accept cryptocurrency. They're now allowing cryptocurrency to be used as legal tender. They're allowing people to pay their taxes with cryptocurrency. So that's just one more control that's going away. And one of the things that's going to happen also is we are going to see many of these deep state actors. Now remember, these are people that are in their position because they work for the devil. And a lot of people don't believe that, well, they think it's just a bad guy, but you got to remember, they have an entire system put in place that rewards those who do evil and punishes those who do good. A woman can be arrested for praying at a picnic, but, well, just a perfect example of that. Out in the UK, you had a guy that had forced himself on a little girl, got 6 months, and exposing that got the one who exposed it 3 years in prison. That's what I'm talking about. But now President Trump is going to be removing all of that, and that's why they fight him. The reason the entire world fought Trump so bad, it wasn't the entire world, it was the deep state, the satanic cabal known as Babylon that was fighting Trump getting into office. And the reason every single thing that they do against Trump has failed is because God is behind President Trump. He is being used as a tool to remove Babylon, to bring Babylon down. And this is all happening very quickly, and you're going to see just how fast it happens. 2025, I've been calling the year of retribution, and it's because those in power who have done things, for example, like sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and Africa and other places, and doing nothing to help those in our own nation, like the victims of Hurricane Helene that are now homeless after what happened to them in North Carolina and other parts of the country. And we're seeing it out in the same thing's going to happen out in California. So we're seeing these people are going to be removed from office. We're also going to see a return to the common law. Now, Trump has been hinting at this. A return to the common law means that we're going to return to the force of the Constitution, the protections of the Constitution for the United States of America. We see Trump talking about Canada and Greenland merging with the United States of America, and that would actually be a great thing. But one of the things I think Trump is doing there also is at least getting them to claim they're, like in Greenland's under the thumb of, I think it's Denmark. So they don't, I might be wrong on the country that they're under the thumb of, but whatever the country is, they're in the control of somebody else and not free people. So we also see that Trump is talking about removing income tax. Now, income tax has never been required of most Americans. Most Americans have been fooled into volunteering for it out of fear. I actually quit paying income tax 28 years ago. And one of the reasons that you hear Trump talking about tariffs is because tariffs are basically a fee for the privilege of accessing the market in the United States of America. And that's how we operated for a long time. Until 1913, we did not have an income tax. We never did. As a matter of fact, most taxes occurred after that. And one of the reasons for this is the cabal does not want anybody to prosper, because people who prosper don't need government, and people who need government are easy to control. All of that is going away. We are seeing the fall of Babylon, and you're going to see a return to the Constitution for the United States of America, which protects our God-given rights, not privileges from man. So it's going to be a very exciting year. 2025 is going to probably be the most exciting year in Trump's term, but you're going to see some amazing things happen. We've got NASARA coming up, which is a National Economic Security and Reformation Act, and you're going to see, which is going to be the currency or revaluation, which is going to be a return to the gold standard. We see where Trump has been talking about for a long time, saying that gold will destroy the Fed. All of these are signs that Babylon is falling. That's where we are in history. You are soon going to see the biggest revival this world has ever seen, because I think that we're very close to the return of Jesus, and God wants as many souls to be saved as possible before it's over. Now keep in mind too, just because Jesus is returning doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Jesus' return is going to return to rule the world for 1,000 years, and evil will be removed in the world during that time. So God bless you all.
Now, what this man is revealing in this video is not just a conspiracy theory. It's a reality grounded in historical and political facts. The idea that a small, powerful group has controlled global affairs through deceit, fraud, and force is not new. In fact, this system has been in place for centuries. woven into the fabric of world governance, finance, and corporate power. From the creation of central banking systems to the manipulation of currencies and energy markets, these entities have built an empire that thrives off control, secrecy, and exploitation. Now, the influence of organizations like the United Nations, WHO, and World Trade Organization is often underestimated, but these groups have played pivotal roles in shaping global policies that align with the interests of the elite few. Now, the petrodollar system, which forces nations to trade oil exclusively in US dollars, has been one of their most powerful tools for maintaining economic dominance. By controlling oil, they control the global economy and thus the political landscape. Now, what we're witnessing now is a monumental shift. More and more people are waking up to the reality of this global manipulation, and the systems of control are starting to unravel. Now, this is not some distant future event, it's happening right now. The question is not whether Babylon is falling, but how quickly the world will recognize and act upon it. This is just the beginning of a new era where truth and accountability will begin to dismantle the corrupt power structures that have controlled us for so long. The fall of Babylon is happening, and the effects will be felt worldwide. Now, by this time, we shouldn't be surprised when certain things are called conspiracy theories, because according to research, it says that the deep state conspiracy theory in the United States is an American political conspiracy theory that posits the existence of the deep state, a clandestine network of members of the federal government, especially within the FBI and CIA. Now, the theory argues that there exist networks of collaborators within the leadership of the high-level financial and industrial entities, which exercise power alongside or within the elected United States government. Now, the term deep state originated in the 1990s as a reference to an alleged long-time deep state in Turkey, but began to be used to refer to the American government as well, including during the Obama administration. However, the theory reached mainstream recognition under the presidency of Donald Trump, who has falsely alleged the deep state is working against him and his administration's agenda. I think this was during his first term. Now, the term has precedence since at least the 1950s, with some drawing parallels between it and the concept of the military-industrial complex, which possessed a cabal of generals and defense contractors who enriched themselves through pushing the country into endless wars. Now, the city-state of Babylon was an absolute monarchy that used a centralized government, taxation, and military service to control its territories. The Babylonians believed that the king held power because of the gods and that he was a god himself. And Babylon was a theocracy, meaning that there was no separation between secular and religious power. The Babylon which is being talked about in this video represents a complex system of control, an amalgamation of shadowy elites, corporate interests, global organizations, and corrupt governments that have been orchestrating the fate of nations for centuries. Now, these forces, often referred to as the deep state, operate behind the scenes, manipulating economies, governments, and societies to maintain their power and influence. They do so through deceit, fraud, and force, shaping policies and decisions that benefit their interests at the expense of the people they claim to serve. Now, one of the key ways Babylon has controlled nations is through its manipulation of financial systems. The use of the petrodollar, for example, is a tool that has solidified global power, ensuring that nations are tied to the dollar and, by extension, to the systems that perpetuate this financial dominance. Now, by controlling the world's money supply, Babylon's elites ensure their influence reaches across borders, dictating the policies of nations regardless of their sovereignty. Global institutions like the United Nations, the WE Forum, the World Health Organization, and the World Trade Organization are often seen as vehicles through which Babylon enforces its agenda, like binding countries to regulations and policies that ultimately serve the globalist agenda. Now, when Donald Trump rose to political prominence, his policies represented a direct challenge to this deeply entrenched system. Trump's America First approach aimed to dismantle the globalist framework that Babylon had built, prioritizing national sovereignty and self-determination over global governance. Now, his push for trade deals that were more favorable to the US, his questioning of multinational agreements, and his critique of international organizations all struck at the heart of Babylon's control. For the first time in decades, a world leader was openly defying the very institutions that Babylon had used to maintain its dominance. Now, this is precisely why the forces behind Babylon fought Trump's policies with such favor, and he represented a significant disruption to their carefully constructed world order. His America First ideology was seen as a threat to the global financial systems they had perfected, to the endless wars they had profited from, and to the social engineering initiatives that had been used to maintain control. And Trump's refusal to comply with their globalist agenda made him an adversary, one they could not allow to succeed. Now, the attacks on Trump back then, whether through impeachment attempts, media vilification, or legal battles, can be understood as desperate attempts by these forces to maintain their grip on power. The belief that he was being used as a tool of divine intervention, as some have claimed, reflects a sense that his presidency represented a force of change, an obstacle to the continued reign of Babylon. As this system of control begins to unravel, the world watches closely to see if the shifting tides will indeed bring about the downfall of an empire that has shaped the fate of nations for centuries. Now, Donald Trump, as some believe, is not merely a politician or a leader in the traditional sense. Rather, he's seen as a tool, a vessel through which a higher purpose is being fulfilled. Now, Trump's rise to power was not an accident, but part of a larger divine plan to dismantle the entrenched global system that has been in place for centuries, a system often described as Babylon. And these forces, which control the financial, political, and social systems of the world, have long manipulated nations, profiting from deceit and force, keeping the masses in line through their control over governments, economies, and institutions. We have finally come to the end of the video, but what do you, our viewers, have to say? Share your thoughts, your views, your contributions as well in the comment section. Thank you for always watching, and see you in our next video as we bring you another video.